Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuits, and I'm back with part two of the walker. And what happened was I ended up putting it on a base because I couldn't find a good way to base coat it or spray paint it. And it's not completely dry, but it's good enough for what I need to do, I think. Let me hit it with some air in a couple spots. All right, that's going to be fine. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do my base coat paint on it. Or not base coat, but my first color. What I want to use is a OD green to make it look military. And OD green has an amazing power of kind of doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a small brush. Maybe, if I can find where I put the damn thing. I had it yesterday. We'll use this one. I'm going to get a small brush and some water. Some of my dirty paint water. And I'm going to paint the main body of this top part OD green. And I add a little water, one, so it gets in the cracks good, and two, so that it's a little muted and not as saturated. And this center paint seems to dry really quick too. I can get it up on those little struts or whatever they are, those little plates, but I don't really want it there. So if I get it there, I can paint over it, but I'm not, it's not a big deal. I'm not trying to get it there. Okay. And if it's not perfect, I'm not sweating it. Okay. Again, I'm not trying to get it on the other spots, but if I do, it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. I mean, I get the bottom kind of covered, and you don't really see this part, so. But just in case we have to lay the miniature down, we'll know this George Jones' Greatest Hit CD served a higher calling besides just staying dead forever. Thanks, Possum. Gone but not forgotten. Okay, that's going to be good enough for ballpark, I'm thinking. We'll come back and hit some of these spots where it was a little less saturated than we wanted it. We'll just clean those up real quick and pick those up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, ballpark's good. Rinse out my brush. We'll air dry this. With my hot air gun. That'll dry well. We're going to come up here and do this cockpit area. And I'm not going to desaturate this as much. My brush is damp though, and this paint is pretty wet, so da, 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 da. Dooba da doo, dooba da doo, dooba da doo, ba da 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 da, ba da 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 da. And I don't think I'm going to worry too much about the actual plastic ring of the Hero Click or Mage Knight or whatever. I think that was Hero Click. I'm just going to kind of leave that black. Okay. Now we're going to come down here. We're going to do all our little bead joints in green. And they don't have to be perfect, but we want them to look green. Really, leaving them a little beat up might be ideal, depending on how you want your paint job to go. Okay, I'm just going to touch this up a little bit more up here because that was pretty thin, that first little spot I did. Okay. Hell, you could stop right there and it looks decent, you know. Let's air dry these beads a little bit. And let's do the legs. I want to do my legs in like a silver. I'm going to do a lot of this in like a silver. Once I find a silver. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to get some water, my dirty paint water, and some of that silver paint. I'm going to mix that up and get it sloppy. I'm going to paint these real jaggedy and terribly. I'm not doing them perfectly by any means. I'm not even doing them on every side. I'm not doing them, you know. And I don't care if some of this splashes around, honestly, either. I don't think it'll hurt our cause too much. We want to make sure it's kind of wet and doesn't get everywhere perfectly. That's important. We want some of the guck to come through. Something like that. We want to get more of that gunky water and some more of that. And let's hit this gun up down here. We want to hit all our kind of plate pieces with this. If you get a little bit on the green, don't fret, but try not to, because we're not coming back to fix any of it. I'm gonna come around these things, paint those silver. And then we got these things on the top. And don't sweat, like I said, if you get a little bit off the beaten path. It'd be alright. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that for the most part. I want to do this little panel on the front up here too. Then I want to do that control panel. I need to use that green again to do the gun part down there that I missed. So I don't have a lot of that green left here on my palette, which is just not a palette, it's just cardboard, but I'm just going to hit that with the green and leave it. Okay. Let's do some variation on the base to make it interesting. I'm going to get a red. And my water. I'm going to paint this chunk of presumed metal with that red. I'm going to hit this piece here too with that red. I'm going to get a blue. I'm just using a dark blue. Come on, you bastard. It's a little chunky. Get some water and steal some of that and water it down. Just like that. I'm going to get some of my red and my blue, mix it together, and make a hideous color. Use that there on that piece and on that piece. I'm going to mix some of that metallic in with that, some of that green in with that, and make a new hideous color. Color this pipe with it. And this little piece here. I'm going to mix a little bit of my silver and my red together. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. I'm just going to keep gunking around making a new color to work with. Just so it's a little less boring. I'm going to get a brown. Get a little bit of water. I'm going to do some of these other plates. Some of this muck. I'm going to throw a little variation on my base with this too. I'm going to get some of that silver and brown mixed. Just like that. Get my brush super wet. Like that. And muck up and dirty things a little bit with that. The color is pretty good for that, so I'm going to hit the bottom of my legs with that too to show that they're dirty and gross. Okay. Sweet. Let's air dry this. want the base to be interesting, not just super boring. Let's get a piece of cardboard. I'm going to get a little bit of a really light metallic. This is called Shining Silver. And I'm going to get a soft makeup brush. There we go, something like that. Then I'm going to, while it's most thick on my brush, hit this like I-beam thing down here, half-ass. Then I'm just going to kind of dab it along other stuff to show scrappage. Show that it's had contact with the ground and it's tore up. I'm just going to dab it around on there and just give this thing a general beat appearance. Okay, then I'm going to get that same paint. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. I'm going to dab around on this guy and scratch him up. To show that he's been living in a bad place and getting whipped on. Then I'm going to get a darker color. This is like a copper color. Get a little bit of that. And mix it in with that silver. Get a lot of that off of my brush. Then I'm going to come around and hit again in some spots. To give it like exposed stuff that started to rust. So I'm going to be a little liberal with that. And I'm going to get it on a lot of my silver too. Just like that. And that's just going to make it a little more interesting. Cool. Alright, small brush. Get something tiny. I got to look here. Find what I'm looking for. Here we go. Alright. I'm getting a bright red. I'm using miniature paint for this because it's very vibrant and this color is, and it has great saturation. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to color these instead of like studs, but to be like lights or indicators. Because I think the way to beat this fight is through explosive shots or whatever it may be, is to break these lights so that it can't move. These things automatically sense, these sensors automatically determine how far it is away from stuff and allow it to walk. And the pilot is at a -15 to move this thing around without it. Something like that. I'm going to do the barrel of the gun in red. Because why not? It's a laser gun. Okay. Now the top dots here are not part of the explosion scheme. I'm going to use a yellow for those, just to give it a different color. Just to make it look cool. Okay. So I'm just dabbing that on there. Don't care if it's perfect. From a tabletop, looking at this from a distance, no one's going to see that these aren't completely covered. They're just going to see that they're covered and be like, oh. Because a lot of D&D and a lot of tabletop games is theater. You can spend hours making every piece perfect. And unless you have the group that's going to pick up every piece and inspect it, there's really no point. I don't really see the point of doing too much more on that. I'm going to do a dot of yellow right there, just because I want to. I'm going to do this little panel. No, I'm not. Not going to do it in yellow. Check this out. I got this really light blue color we're going to use for that. This is called Cloudless Blue. And it's going to be perfect for some of this to give another color. Oops. Did not want to get it right there. I'm just going to use a pair of children's underwear to clean that off. There we go. Now, if you want to make this probably a little easier, have somebody do a craft mechanics or craft robotics or awareness or resourcefulness or whatever system you're using and whatever check you think is applicable when the fight starts. And I do this a lot. And then they can identify characteristics about the fight that might be problematic. Like, look at those 4 blue sensors up there. He's using those to determine range for his shots. You know, you say, okay, you see 4 blue sensors that look like they're some kind of strange rangefinders. Maybe they're the key to defeating him. You know, they had a good check or they had a bad check. You don't see anything useful. There are a bunch of lights and bells and whistles and panels all over them. You don't know what's what. Here it is up close. Here's it with the driver. Sweet, right? That's a fun little build. It looks destructive and cool. And when it comes out on your table, people are going to be like, oh shit. They're going to try to shoot the driver. Okay. Energy field. They can only be destroyed by breaking that front red light right there. Might be your answer. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. It's your build. You could totally do this without the legs and the gun underneath and make it like a little flying thing. That would look cool too, I bet. But I just wanted to do this. If I had another one of these laying around, I might make a flyer thing too. But I like this a lot. It looks like it's going to do exactly what I wanted to do. It's going to tell a story on my tabletop. I really wish I had some clear headlight pieces left. I do, but I don't want to dig them out. Anyways, there it is. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. All that happy crappy. Leave comments. Those are super important because I like to answer them. And sometimes I just say, thanks, dude. But sometimes I actually have something useful to say. So check those out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Maybe.